let us take a moment to really look at what Charlotte and Danny have been through recently. They have survived the terrifying chaos at Windermere, the terrifying presence of Ross, and the sheer trauma of being arrested and interrogated by the police. They have leaned on each other in the dark corners of the boathouse, whispering secrets and trying to protect their families from the fallout of all this violence. It seems like their bond has grown far beyond a simple teenage friendship. They have been thrust into adult situations way too early, forced to carry the heavy burdens of the adults around them. In moments of extreme fear and vulnerability, people often seek comfort in the only person who truly understands their pain. High chances are, during one of those desperate, terrifying nights, they crossed a line that will change their destinies forever. The unconfirmed leak suggests that the aftermath of this trauma is going to manifest in the most permanent way possible. I am hearing a very loud behind the scenes whisper that the writers are gearing up for a massive teen pregnancy storyline involving Charlotte and Danny. Just let that sink in for a moment, ladies. What if Charlotte suddenly realizes that she is carrying Danny's child? The sheer magnitude of this possibility is staggering. These are just kids. They are teenagers with their entire lives ahead of them, filled with dreams of college, careers, and finding their own paths in the world. A baby right now would completely derail everything they have ever known. The truth might be way more complicated than just a careless mistake. It could be the result of two deeply traumatized youths seeking a brief moment of solace in a world that has constantly let them down. If this hush hush rumor is accurate, the emotional fallout is going to be unlike anything we have seen in years. Imagine the sheer terror running through Charlotte's mind if she looks down at a positive test. What if she is already showing subtle signs, hiding her morning sickness from Lulu, wearing oversized sweaters to conceal the terrifying reality? Charlotte has always been such a sensitive, observant girl, but she is still so young and emotionally fragile. The weight of this secret would be absolutely crushing. High chances are she would be absolutely paralyzed by fear, terrified of disappointing the people who love her most. She knows how much her parents have sacrificed for her, and the thought of bringing a child into this chaotic, dangerous world would likely send her into a deep emotional spiral. It seems like the writers are setting her up for a devastating internal battle, forcing her to choose between her own youth and the daunting responsibility of motherhood. And then we have Danny, sweet, brave, fiercely loyal Danny, who just tried to take the fall for a shooting to protect his loved ones. What if Danny finds out that he is about to become a father before he has even finished high school? The truth might be way more complicated for him because he already carries so much guilt and pressure trying to live up to the legacy of his family. He has always tried to be the hero, stepping up to save his sister and protecting Charlotte from danger. But a baby is not an enemy you can fight or a secret you can easily bury. High chances are Danny will feel completely overwhelmed, desperately wanting to do the right thing but having absolutely no idea how to provide for a family. The behind the scenes whisper implies that Danny will be completely shattered by his inability to fix this situation. If this drastic storyline shift happens, I can easily see Charlotte and Danny trying to keep this a massive secret from everyone. What if they start meeting in secret at the boathouse, crying in each other's arms, frantically searching the internet for options, and feeling entirely alone in the world? It seems like they would be terrified of the wrath of their families. They know that once the truth comes out, their lives will no longer belong to them. The adults will take over, making demands and decisions that will strip away whatever little control these teenagers have left. High chances are, the longer they hide it, the worse the eventual explosion will be. We all know that in this town, secrets are basically ticking time bombs, and this particular hush hush rumor is a nuclear threat waiting to detonate right in the middle of their living rooms. Now, let us talk about the mothers. Lulu has fought tooth and nail to protect her daughter from the darkness of this town. What if Lulu is the one who finds the hidden test in the trash can? I can practically see the scene playing out. Lulu confronting Charlotte, the denial, the tears, and finally, the heartbreaking confession. High chances are Lulu would be absolutely devastated, feeling like she completely failed as a mother. She has spent so much energy fighting over custody, worrying about the influence of her ex's family, and trying to give her daughter a normal life. To realize that her precious little girl is now facing the grueling, terrifying reality of teen motherhood would break Lulu's heart into a million pieces. The truth might be way more complicated for Lulu, as she would have to swallow her own grief to be the pillar of strength her daughter desperately needs. And what about Valentine? Oh, ladies, the unconfirmed leak suggests that Valentine's reaction is going to be apocalyptic. Valentine has been hiding out in Carly's attic, wrapped up in his own romantic entanglements and spy drama, completely missing the signs that his daughter was in crisis. What if Valentin realizes that his absence, his secrets, and his chaotic lifestyle push Charlotte right into this situation? High chances are he will be consumed by a toxic mixture of intense guilt and blinding rage. Valentine has always viewed Charlotte as his absolute world, his pure angel. To find out that she is pregnant by a boy whose family is deeply entrenched in the mob would likely send Valentine off the deep end. It seems like he would want to punish someone, anyone, to alleviate the crushing guilt he feels for not being there when she needed him most. I can already envision the explosive confrontation between Valentine and the rest of the families. The truth might be way more complicated than just anger. It will be a desperate attempt to regain control. Valentine is a man who solves problems with money, power, and intimidation. What if he tries to force Danny out of the picture completely? High chances are Valentine will threaten everything Danny loves, demanding that the boy walk away and never look back. But we know Danny has that stubborn, loyal streak in him. He will not abandon Charlotte or his unborn child. This behind the scenes whisper points to a massive, ugly war between the families, with Charlotte and Danny caught right in the crossfire, crying and begging their parents to just stop fighting and help them. We also cannot forget Dante in all of this. Dante has been a steady, loving father figure to Charlotte for years. He has protected her, guided her, and loved her as his own. What if Dante feels completely blindsided and betrayed by this news? High chances are Dante will look at Danny, a boy he has known forever, and feel a profound sense of disappointment. Dante knows exactly how hard it is to be a young parent, the sacrifices it requires, and the dreams it forces you to leave behind. It seems like Dante will be torn between comforting a devastated Lulu, supporting a terrified Charlotte, and trying to maintain peace before Valentine does something incredibly dangerous. The emotional toll this hush hush rumor would take on Dante is almost too painful to think about. And then there is Jason. Jason has just made his highly anticipated return, finally free from custody, hoping to reconnect with his son and keep him safe. What if Jason's first real welcome home present is the news that his teenage son is going to be a father? The truth might be way more complicated for Jason than anyone else. Jason has spent his entire life trying to shield his children from the consequences of his own violent choices. He wanted Danny to have a clean, safe, normal life, everything Jason never had. High chances are Jason will be completely gutted, realizing that the cycle of chaos has already claimed his son. This drastic storyline shift would force Jason to confront his greatest fears, that his absence and his lifestyle have irreparably damaged Danny's future. I can picture Jason standing there, his usual stoic expression cracking as the reality washes over him. What if Jason actually blames himself? It seems like he will look at Danny and see a terrified kid who was forced to grow up too fast because his father was never around to protect him. High chances are Jason and Valentine will have a terrifying, silent standoff, two dangerous men realizing that their own mistakes have ruined their children's lives. The behind the scenes whisper hints that Jason might offer to take Danny away, to handle the situation in his own quiet, intense way, but Danny will refuse to run. The tension between these families will be thick enough to cut with a knife, creating a dramatic atmosphere that will keep us all glued to our screens for months. If you look closely at the history of this show, you will realize that they absolutely love repeating historical tragedies. Remember the tragic, complicated youth of Brooke Lynn and Dante? Remember the shocking revelation about Gio? What if the writers are deliberately mirroring that exact same dynamic for the next generation? It seems like history is doomed to repeat itself in this town. The truth might be way more complicated, but the parallels are impossible to ignore. Two young people, overwhelmed by their feelings and their circumstances, creating a life before they even know how to live their own. High chances are the older generation will look at Charlotte and Danny and see their own past mistakes staring right back at them, making their reactions even more volatile and emotional. So, what happens next if this unconfirmed leak is true? What if the parents come together and make a ruthless, heartbreaking decision? High chances are Lulu, Valentine, and Jason will realize that keeping Charlotte and Danny in town will only subject them to vicious gossip and relentless danger. It seems like they might orchestrate a secret exile. I can see a scenario where Charlotte is quietly sent away to a private facility in Europe, hidden from the world, while Danny is forced to stay behind, completely heartbroken and isolated. The truth might be way more complicated. They might tell the town that Charlotte is just going to a prestigious boarding school, masking the pain of a teenage pregnancy behind a wall of wealthy privilege. This hush-hush rumor suggests a truly agonizing separation for these two kids. But ladies, there is an even darker possibility hidden within this drastic storyline shift. What if the families forced Charlotte to give the baby up for adoption? Imagine the sheer agony of that storyline. Charlotte, carrying a child for 9 months, only to have the baby taken from her arms the moment it is born, handed off to strangers to protect the family reputation. High chances are Valentine would arrange the entire thing, using his wealth and connections to make the child disappear, believing he is saving his daughter's future. Seems like Danny would be completely powerless to stop it, left with a permanent scar on his soul. The truth might be way more complicated, with secret documents, hidden identities, and a lifetime of regret weighing down on these young characters. If this unconfirmed leak plays out with a forced adoption, it sets up the ultimate soap opera goldmine for the future. What if, 20 years from now, a mysterious stranger arrives in town, seeking revenge on the families who threw them away? Chances are the storyline is not just about the present, it is about planting seeds for decades of future drama. It seems like the writers are preparing to shatter the innocence of Charlotte and Danny forever, turning them into tragic figures bound by a dark, unbreakable secret. If you think the current drama is intense, you have absolutely no idea what is coming. Keep your eyes wide open and trust no one, because the shadows in this town are hiding secrets that will destroy everything you thought you knew. Be careful what you wish for, my friends.